easy go.
Right guys, this is going to be my first Prestige solo for the week. It's Strange Terrain, so for those that don't know, it's basically Nocris, the Necromancer. So for those that are just interested in the run, then skip to the time on the screen. For the rest of you that want to know my modifiers, build, etc., then here you go. I can't show you the Strike Pacific loot that you found for, but it is basically like Curtain Call. It is a hybrid between Curtain Call and Sins of the Past. I don't have Sins on me. Where it has higher velocity than Sins, but not as high as Curtain Call, but it has higher blast radius than Curtain Call. Do I know if it's better than either two? Not sure. Haven't got it. I may get it this week, hopefully. So yeah, it's basically a cluster bomb rocket. If you not want to farm for it, Curtain Call Sins is going to do basically the same job as this rocket launcher, but it's a rare item in the game, and I'm going to grind for it. So this run's going to show you how to farm in a way. I would always say farm in a team, especially with Nocris. This is a technically hard solo to do. It's probably the hardest solo in the game right now. Savathun Song used to be, but now with the modifiers, Savathun Song can be easy two-phase solo, whereas Nocris, that isn't possible. You cannot two-phase solo this boss. Maybe potentially with Arkelos, yes, but for the average player they haven't got Arkelos. So yeah, this is going to be a long solo no matter how you look at it. But if you still want to solo farm it, then this video is going to be for hunters. So I'll tell you my modifiers first, I guess. So we are using a 0 power handicap, Solar Singe, heavyweight, and momentum. So this is not a point based run. This is just basic modifiers that I would usually run on any given solo run. I'll talk about weapons first. That's more simple. So we are using Devil's Mananan combo, as I always regard these as top tier for solo players. And we're using Sleeper Simulant as our heavy. Okay, so Sleeper Simulant is the best heavy for this Nightfall, mainly because it can deal with knights easily. You can take them out from a distance. It has amazing boss damage. It is the most versatile. Think of this Nightfall like Savathun Song. It is very similar. You're having to deal with a lot of mages. It's real similar in that case. And Sleeper Simulant just ticks all the boxes. Rockets is like a second favourite of mine, but Rockets are less reliable than Sleeper, and I'll say that. But I will do a solo this week with Rockets, showing you that Rockets is still very reliable. Shotgun, not as much so unless you've got Arkelos. You're going to find a hard time because you don't want to be getting up close and personal. I'm not saying that it's not possible. Arceus is another one. Legend of Arceus, I'm got it on me. That is another good solo one, to be honest. So, of course, I made my Mananan Solar Singe as well, just to complement the Nightfall. So, yeah, I'm not going to solo subclass. You'll sometimes find that on some Nightfalls where you pick a burn that suits you, but you can then pick an alternative subclass. You don't have to match. A gunslinger run would be interesting though, you know, it would be interesting. But yeah, we're doing Nightstalker. Okay, so the majority of players aren't going to be able to do this exactly the way I done it, because I'm using Wave the Pathfinder. If you haven't seen my previous video, I suggest you go and look at it, because I think it's important for hunter mains. So basically I'm using Wave the Pathfinder. I use Orpheus rigs with that. I use Orpheus rigs with bottom tree, and that only works if you have Mobius Quiver locked. So you haven't unlocked the node. 95% of players have unlocked that node, because why would you not? Back in the days we weren't to know that Quiver would be rubbish and not work with rigs. So I'm just going to go ahead and say that you can use the same strat that I use in this video, basically with top tree. It's going to work. It might even work better because your tether's more reliable on top tree. But I'm going to show you that bottom tree can still work well. with rigs. But I really like Vanishing Smoke and I like Lockdown. So for quite a while for my solos, I'm going to do with the Pathfinder. Testing it, seeing how good it is. Is it worth for people to do it? Well, you can make your own assessment of videos like these. So as for armor, I said Orpheus rigs. None of my armor matters. No special mods on there. Apart from I got a kinetic reloader, but that's no big deal. Okay, so that's my weapons and modifiers and everything. Alright, so with the Nightstalker solo, like I said, you do not need to do bottom tree. Just for me personally, I wanted to try it, see what it's like, how many orbs can I make. And yes, it's solo, so it doesn't matter how many orbs I make, but it's still to see what it's like. So straight away you want to do a invis, so that this knight who does the solo thing doesn't one-shot you, because he can't even, no matter what light you are. So yeah, you just want to keep running through. Momentum's going to help out a ton when you're skipping ads, everything. So with this, you're going to have 2 shielded knights, and you're going to have a load of thrall rushing you. Sleeper does not work well on them, for whatever reason, because of their shields, I guess. You can't one-shot them anyways, so don't waste sleeper on them. No need to. Explosive rounds works well on them though. Hence why I don't use rampage weapons. Don't use rampage weapons on solos because you've got no one helping you out with team shooting, so therefore explosive I prefer. So with this first section, you just kill an acolyte. You don't want to push up too far. You could technically just go invis, go right to the top and kill the knights. That's a risky strat though, and I'm not going to show you that in a difficult solo like this. Okay, so you're just taking out the knights, sorry, the acolytes, best as you can. Once you step so far, there's then going to be either Curse Thrall to deal with or Shielded Knights. You want the Curse Thrall, to be honest. You don't want the knights, because the knights is like 6 of them and they take so long, they're so tanky. So in my case I got the Curse Thrall. Now this dictates later on what spawns you're going to get, or whether you're going to get at the ogre room, which I'll tell you what that's going to be. So as you've seen there, Sleeper Simulant will 2-shot the knights. Sometimes it'll 1-shot them if you get the nice ricochet, but this time I didn't. But don't count on that, because it's rare that's going to happen. So then you can take out the 2 crystals. There's a knight still up. See there, his solar nade wrecked me, so it will do on solar singe, so always be careful with it. By this time you're going to have a super, you're not going to be wanting to use that anytime soon, so you're going to have a lot of thrall rushing you at this stage, which is okay. You can skip it all if you just take that route there. Be sure to save an invis. You're going to want an invisibility for this bit. Now if you run top tree, which I assume, then just do vanishing step. It'll still get you through. Plus you got momentum on. You probably wouldn't even need vanishing smoke there, but you do it for safety. So we're going to have 4 major knights. Once you kill 2 of them, the knight will then spawn up. Sorry, the wizard. That was a good opportunity to tether as well, but there's only 4 enemies, so I knew I wouldn't get it back. Now once you damage the knight, the wizard halfway, they will then back up with the rest of the knights. You can then kind of wait till they group up, tether the rock, and then you're good to go. So this tether done, I wrote it down, 9 orbs, 11 seconds. So that's the average, I would say. For an average tether with this subclass, you're going to get roughly 10 orbs, and it's going to last roughly 10 seconds on average from what tethers I've seen that I done. Now you can skip all these for all, you don't need to kill them, but I was interested to see how many orbs I could make, and how long the tether would last. So on this particular tether it was 22 orbs, 13 seconds, roughly. So that's a pretty good tether, and you know, the tether on Orpheus, top tree tether, sorry, would have lasted longer, but it's still not too bad. So I save an invis for this as well, 100%, because there's a knight. The first knight does solo, the second knight does arc. So it's the first knight that's dangerous for us. Okay, so like I said at the start, you get 2 different spawns, and it's this room that dictates that. So we got Curse for All, which means that we get Shriekers, whereas if we had the Shielded Knights that spawn, we would have got Ogres. Think of it like this: a Shriek is a stationary target that you can hit, an Ogre isn't. Ogre's going to stagger you, he's going to move around, it's going to be harder. So the you're going to have 2 knights each time. There's 4 crystals to take down in middle to then take down the Ogre's shield. So this is our first phase. So you can see the 4 crystals. Now this boss fight, or this fight should I say, you're going to do it, depends on how good you are with staying at the bottom. Your positioning is what I mean to say. So your positioning is more important than anything else on this one. Now I'm just checking where the second knight is, because there's randomness with that. I know that he's going to be around the corner then. Do an invis first, get 1 shot in, and then you want to back up, because these acolytes, you don't want to sit in their nades for too long. You can then take out the rest of the acolytes. Try not to leave too many adds up alive in this room. The more adds alive, the harder it is for you then. Okay, so see where the ball is? The ball is in an awkward place for me. If that happens to you, then you want to wait for your invis. Now momentum has an hidden perk where it increases melee ability energy for all subclasses. So that's for the Titan, Hunter, Warlock. That's great for the Hunter, because that means you've got more invis energy then. So we're going to take out our last crystal. Once you do so, the next Shriek is going to be up. Make sure you don't hit the base like I did, as you'll get immune. Got to hit in the center. So once you've took out that final Shrieker, it's then going to spawn up the next wave of adds. You're going to have a bunch of acolytes and another 2 mages. This phase is harder than the last phase because of where the knights are positioned. It's in an awkward spot. This knight will kind of rush you. He's a 2-shot. Notice I have no heavy, so I'm going invis and I'm going to collect all the heavy I can. Now I'm specific in where I leave the last crystal, because I want the last crystal, the one I end up picking, that's the one I want to leave last. Reason for that, which you'll see. So this is just an opportunity for me to get more heavy. And I'm just checking around this corner where that knight is, which luckily for us is round the other side. Now I checked my radar, I noticed two snipers are still alive. Before you do anything, you need to kill these snipers. Just be careful when you're up here, it's dangerous. Once you've killed the 2 snipers, you just want to kind of, you want to get up there, you want to get down, you want to get off that. Now we can take out the last knight. If he's surrounded by acolytes like that, deal with the acolytes first, then him. So I had bad positioning here, so you can see what can happen there if you've got, if you're not standing in the right spot. Right, add an invis for safety. Okay, so we're taking out the last couple of acolytes, And now we can take the last crystal to kill the ogre. Now the ogre will die in 2 critical hits. If you get a body shot, you're gonna be 3 shots then. Now I thought I had an invis, so I made a mistake. Screwed up my crit as well. That's no big deal. I can go into cover, get a shot. All the adds will then despawn. And then I can then get all my heavy. So make sure you leave this room with max heavy. You want max heavy definitely, which you should do. There should be enough heavy in this room. Oh yeah, 1 brick's 2 shots. So yeah, it's like sub 10 minutes at the boss. It's okay. It's not a bad run. Remember, I'm not trying to speed run this. It's not a speed run thing. I think someone could do this in 15 minutes definitely. That's not to me a speed run. It's not a speed run. The only time you would speed run something if it's less than like 10 minutes on any Nightfall. Okay, so with these knights, you just use sleeper on everything because they health regen all the time. They put the shields up. It's not worth it. Just do that because there's 4 knights. You get 4 bricks back. There's 2 shots in each brick. You're gonna get all your heavy back. It would not be nice to have more heavy on the floor, but it's not worth your time because they just keep regenerating shields. If you were on top tree, that's the point. If you're on top tree, you could snare bomb them, and that would be a good way of taking them out. Okay, so now we're going to do our next tether, which is an average tether, but first we're doing boss damage. Sorry. So if you come to this location here, you'll have no adds spawn up at all, whereas if you're at the back of the map, there will be. Only use 2 shots there. You don't need to be using more than 2. You want to save heavy because with this boss fight, there's a lot of knights to take out, so you want to manage your heavy, even though heavyweight's on. So we do our next tether here, which is 10 orbs, 12 seconds. So that's an average tether there as well. It's not a bad tether. We nearly get our tether back. I'm sure with top tree you would have done, but you wouldn't have made as many orbs. Plus Heart of the Pack, there we've got that ×3, which lasts 35 seconds. So what that means, Heart of the Pack, is that you are more tankier once you've killed adds in your tether, which is a valuable perk, I think. It also makes you have more mobility and recovery, which I do notice the health recovery on it. Not on this one, but in general play. Right now we're just trying to take out all the acolytes that we can. I'll explain this, I guess, while we're in downtime kinda. So this boss ramps up in difficulty. So the first phase will be, the boss will be immune and won't fire at you at all. So he'll be immune, stationary, won't fire at you. Second phase, he'll be immune, stationary, but then shoot at you. And then the last phase, they'll be all 3. So he'll be immune, he'll be mobile, and he'll shoot at you. That's why the last phase is so hard. So first phase isn't too bad, second phase is kinda hard, and third phase is really hard. So we're kind of free to roam for ammo, roam for the orbs, sorry. So it's another thing. So I'm getting ready. I make sure sleeper's reloaded, and I do 2 shots here only. Don't do any more than 2 shots on each phase, because it just means that you have enough ammo for knights, and they are the most important thing to kill, because you're not going to be killing them with your weapons, that's for sure. We don't have an Archman. That's a thing that you could do. You could put an Archman on. Seeing as though I thought I would manage all my ammo from a sleeper, then I knew I wouldn't need the Archman then, because all the shields have, all the knights have arc shields. So right now we're trying to manipulate the boss so that he comes to this rock. It means that he won't be able to damage you. Sometimes he will, if you're not in the right spot. Put a nade on him, with bottom tree we have a double damage nade with lockdown. That's a perk to having, some perks to having bottom tree there. Now you're seeing I wasn't positioned right in the rock, so that was an example of it. A bit of randomness with it as well. So we're saving our sleeper shots because we only have 4, so we're just using Mananan to take advantage of the increased damage. Now he goes immune and he can fire you, so he's a threat now on his immunity phase. I'm waiting for the wizard to spawn here. It's nice to spawn kill this wizard because we're working from the right side. Okay, so this next tether we make 8 orbs and it lasts 11 seconds, so this is another tether where it would be an average one. So it's not bad for an average tether. So we're staying on the right, behind this right side, on this rock. Just stay away from the boss, because the boss does solar, and we are on a solar singe. Thing is, Void Singe is brutal because of the Ogre Room. Arc Singe is hard because of the Boomer Knights. So I still think Solar Singe is probably the best because I can control Solar Singe, so I can control when I'm sitting in the Solar Nades, and I can avoid the boss's attack. Therefore I think Solar Singe is the best for this Nightfall. Now this wizard's hiding. I don't want to use too much sleeper. As you're saying, I'm low on sleeper and I want more shots, so we use our Mananan. Once the second wizard's killed, we're gonna have 2 knights spawning. Okay, so this can be dangerous now when you're trying to confront the knights and the boss. So just peek in and out with 1 shot at a time and then go for health, get your momentum to proc. Sometimes the knights will put a shield up, it's RNG whether they do or they don't. Okay, so now we're going in V's a lot more to get ammo and to pick up the relics. So you make sure your sleeper's reloaded after every time you take down the second crystal, because that's when you're putting your damage in. You know, you're putting your 2 shots of sleeper, then you're leaving him. He's down to a 3rd. He won't go immune. He'll spawn up a couple of ads. So now we're just being mobile, agile. He'll spawn in 2 snipers at the back as well. Be wary of them, because even though they do void, they can hurt you a lot. If you end up running into the boss like that, make sure you're getting your invis. Okay, so we're just cleaning up all ads. Get into the habit of doing that. For every phase you want all ads down. You don't want to start the next phase with acolytes up. Then what happens? The room overruns you and you'll end up dying, even with momentum. So you've got to be methodical about it. Right now I'm just picking up all the ammo I can. And we're going to position the boss again into our spot. I don't consider this to be a cheese, for those out there that think so. Then go ahead and solo this, try it yourself, and then try it without the rock. There's not much difference. You're still going to have to be agile. All this is doing is speeding up damage, that's it. I use 1 sleeper shot because I'm happy to have 6 on the last phase here. 6 is fine. Any lower than that, then that's not the best. So this is the last tether that we end up doing, as all the thralls spawn. So we make 16 orbs on this particular tether, and it lasts 22 seconds, which to me is a long time on a tether without top tree. That's a long time, I think. Now, the tether's still up right now, just I'm running around a lot, I'm concerned with the boss. You'll see here the tether's still up, so it lasts roughly 22 seconds, it could be longer. I don't know when it runs out because I'm too busy right now. Okay, so this is the last phase, the most dangerous one. So you just want to run around, you know, kill 2 or 3 for all, run, kill 2 or 3, run, just like that. The key is not to deal with everything all at once. See there, I nearly got caught out, so that's where your positioning comes in so much. I could have easily died there. That's why I think this is one of the hardest solos to do. Talvathun's song used to be, but now that you can 2-phase the boss solo, you can nearly 1-phase the boss solo. The beauty of this one is that you can't do it because of the immunity. With the Archelos, maybe 2-phase solo is doable. I just haven't tried it to... I may try it. Who knows, but it's something that I'm not into because I realise that people don't have the Archelos. Most players don't have it, so therefore how can we show them how to do it if they haven't got the gun with that? So weapons like Darcy, rockets, even Sleeper, most people have these weapons, so I prefer to do that in my guides. So now we're just killing all acolytes that we can, and we have another knight to kill yet. We have one more acolyte to kill, which I want him to die, to be honest. But make sure you have one crystal up before you take out all odds. You also want plenty of heavy for this last phase, so there is one more phase after this, but it's shielded knights. You don't really want to mess around with them too much. They're tanky. I don't know if they're one shot or not. I never really end up going to that phase. I'd rather teach you how to mow the boss down, which it's not too hard because we got heavyweight and we have a burn on. Okay, so we got the last acolyte down. Now we're setting up for damage, so I want to go behind this rock so that the boss goes to where I want him to. Do the last crystal, tether the boss, why not? Doesn't increase power weapon damage, but why not? We've got a nade on him as well. If you get more crits than me, then he would have died sooner. But you can see there, you can comfortably mow the boss down before the ads get you. And that's the solo with Nightstalker. Like I said, you don't need to delete a hunter to then solo this. You can just use top tree. But this is showing you that where the Pathfinder is, it's still good. It's still good solo subclass. Because let's look at it. You are invisible more often. Well, so you're invisible longer because it has an 8-second timer. You have double damage grenades, and you can still make Orpheus rigs work with the bottom tree. So it's still a good solo class to me, and it'd be good for team play as well. That was the Strange Terrain solo. I'll do the other subclasses as well, but yeah, that was the run. Thank you.